is. What's going on YouTube? And welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. I am your host, JoJo Speaks from 16. I'm so excited to be here. Dustin, you are here with me as well. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. You're breaking up a little bit, so sorry if I didn't hear what you. You're breaking up a little bit on my side, so uh, I didn't hear
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning part of what you said.
My,
Huh.
yeah. I was just introducing the show. Hopefully, it'll catch up because I think there's a little bit of a gap, of a
Yeah.
delay here. But we should be catching up in a little while. Typically, it does that on its own. But
Okay.
yes, we are here for our review for 90 Day Fiance.
Mhm.
Season 11, episode 16. And we have six couples to cover on tonight. And finally, we're getting
Yes.
to our thruple, who is Annie, Amani, and Matt. So Amani and Matt, they are legally married. They are currently legally
Mm.
married, and they want to be in a polyamorous, I guess a throuple is a
Polyamorous, yeah.
polyamorous relationship with
Yeah.
Annie. Right. And what they want to do is Amani and Matt want to get a divorce so that Annie can marry one of them so that she can get the visa so that she can live in America. Because I was wondering, like, why are they getting a divorce? But then I had to remember it's 90 Day Fiance. She wants to come over to America. So she'll have to marry one of them, either Matt or Amani, in order to get her visa or her green card or whatever the
Mm.
case might be that she's looking for. So the three of them, they are in Mexico, where Annie is originally from. And they're going to meet Annie's aunt as well as Annie's brother and his wife. And she's really, really, really nervous about revealing her plans on marrying one of them and being in a relationship with both of them because her aunt and her brother and her sister in law are extremely religious. And when it comes to these types of relationships, a lot of times religions don't necessarily like these types of things. They don't think it's godly.
Uh,
And as well, put on top of that, the fact that she's interested in both Amani and Matt, meaning that she is same gender loving as well. And so
uh,
she's very, very nervous about revealing this information to her family. And I cannot imagine having to do this on national television. I would
mm.
hope that she would have given them a little bit of a heads up, like so that everything is not such a shock. But it did seem like this was the first time they're hearing this information. However, Annie's brother is accepting. He says, I don't understand it. The fact that she wants to marry either Matt or Amani in order to be in a relationship with both of them. And oh,
Hi, Bianca.
Bianca's in the chat. Hey, Bianca, thanks so much for being here, boo. Love to see you here, girl. Um,
Happy
I,
Monday,
and
everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Happy Monday to everybody. And he's very accepting and he said he's open, which I was so happy to hear him say. The aunt, however, initially was very shocked by this news. It seems like she was having trouble processing everything that she had heard. However, she eventually did say, you know what? I see the love in your eyes. I see the love in their eyes for you. So this must be genuine. This must be authentic, so I will support it. And then the main thing that I didn't necessarily care for was Amani trying to get Annie to tell her aunt certain things to make her feel more comfortable. It's like almost like Annie didn't have her own voice, like Annie
Uh,
couldn't explain herself for herself, although Annie was apprehensive about doing it to begin with. And she did seem a little bit choked up on her words. So I understand why Amani was doing what she was doing, but just for me as a viewer, it was a little bit annoying seeing her trying to coach her as to how she was to relay this information to her family.
mm,
But Amani wanted Annie to ask her if she's coming to the wedding, and Annie's aunt agreed to come to the wedding, and so all
mm,
is well between Amani, Annie, and Matt. It seems like Amani and Annie are very in love. However, Matt sort of kind of seems like the third wheel in this situation. Um, I don't know. It's kind of weird for me. It really is
uh,
kind of weird for me. It just seems like Annie is more into Amani. I'm sorry, Amani is more into Annie than she is actually into Matt, who is her actual husband at this time.
right.
Um, So that's a little that's just a little weird because if you just don't want anything to do with Matt anymore, then just go ahead and marry Annie. But I guess she still has feelings for Matt. I guess
Mm.
Matt still scratches an itch for her that she needs scratched. I don't know. Dustin, what are your opinions on what happened this episode with Amani, Annie, and Matt?
I don't like it. I
Why
see
is
a lot
that?
of I see a lot of red flags between this couple.
Mm.
I have been seeing them for the past for the past couple episodes. But honestly, I don't think I think that she's just doing this to get the green card and get to America. And I bet you when she gets married and she starts to being with them full time and being with them on a marriage visa, I bet she don't last very long because I couldn't myself, Jonathan. I wouldn't put myself through that period point blank. But I wouldn't put I could. There is no way I could be be with somebody with two other people in a relationship. It either has to be uh, that person and myself, or nobody at all. I wouldn't be able to handle two more people in that relationship. No, thank you. No, that's a red flag to me. And so I'm sorry, that's a red flag to me. It really is. Hmm.
I understand what you mean by that, Dustin. I, for one, would not want to. I don't desire to be in a relationship with more than one person. And for me, infidelity would be a big thing because I love
Hmm.
hard, and when I'm disappointed by love, then it's the most crushing thing ever. Before we went live, I was actually watching some episodes of Cheaters on YouTube, and it's so disheartening to
Hmm.
realize that someone that you felt as though that you loved and you felt as though loved you is cheating on you. Not to say that this is the actual situation that we're dealing with, but I'm just talking about my own personal opinion. I just would
Hmm.
not feel comfortable in a relationship with more than one person. I'm a
Neither
one
would
man
I.
type. I'm a one. Absolutely,
Hmm.
Dustin. I'm a one man type man. When when I have a husband, when I have a significant other, yes, eyes may wander, but I'm not going to act towards having any type of relationship or any type of interaction with anyone else that is of a sexual nature. But apparently, Amani, Annie, and Matt have things figured out for themselves. My
Hmm.
thing is, if that works for you and all parties that are involved are consenting and okay with what's going on with the situation, then do your thing. They're all grown people, they do what they want. Here's
Hmm.
my thing about what you said, Dustin, concerning Annie wanting to get into America. I get that seems to be the case for a lot of people that show up on 90 Day Fiance. However, Annie seems to have an actual connection with Amani. Now, I don't know
Hmm.
what her connection is to Matt. Because really, I haven't seen that much interaction between Matt and
Hmm.
Annie, but I've seen a lot more interaction between Amani and Annie. That seems more couple like. That seems more relationship like.
Then just marry Armani and get it over with.
Right, exactly. And that's what we saw in the preview for the next episode. Annie's going to have to decide whether she wants to marry Matt or Amani. And I can only assume that she's going to pick Amani because she seems to be closer to him. Now, Amani says that she doesn't care, who she chooses, but I have a feeling that Amani definitely wants for Annie to choose her. Because that decision, although on the surface they may want to
Hmm.
make it seem as though it does not matter to anyone who she chooses to marry. However, on the inside, I feel as though there are going to be some hurt feelings, possibly if
Hmm.
Annie decides to marry Matt instead of Amani. Now, Matt, I don't
Hmm.
think Matt necessarily cares about what's going on between them. I think he understands Amani's sexuality and the fact that she desires to be with a woman,
Hmm.
and he cannot do that for her because he is a man. So I
Hmm.
think it seems like Matt is kind of just going along to get along, just to make sure that everyone's happy. But
Hmm.
I want Matt to be happy as well. Like, but
Right.
again, if he's willing to get into this relationship with two other women and he's okay and he is absolutely fulfilled, even though his face doesn't say that, his body language does not say that to me at least.
No.
If that's the case, what is the case for him and he's happy, then I say go for it. But I really think that Amani will have an issue with Annie if Annie chooses to marry Matt instead of her. So I'm fully expecting. Hey, Robin's in the
Hey,
in the
Robin.
chat. Hey, Auntie Robin, so good to see you, boo. Um,
Yes.
I really do think that there's going to be issues if Amani is not chosen for the
Mhm,
marriage.
mhm,
So there's that. We'll see what happens. See who Annie chooses in next week's episode. But let's move on to Shekinah and Sarper. So Shekinah and Sarper. Shekinah is starting as Dustin and I discussed right before we went live. Shekinah is
mhm,
starting to get on my last good nerve because she feels so entitled to Sarper as though she's irreplaceable. And I
right.
just want Sarper to show her how replaceable she actually is. And Sarper seems to have been very happy in Turkey, and
Mhm,
that's the thing. Like, I don't get what the only thing that I can think of that is keeping Sarper in a relationship with Shekinah is the sex, because it seems like that's mainly what their relationship is based off of, is what they do in the bedroom, which is the main reason why they
mhm,
wanted to have a wedding in their bed, because that's where they get along the most. That's where they're on the same page the most. But
mhm,
Shekinah seems to feel as though she can do anything she wants, and Sarper's just going to stay right by her side. And I just want Sarper to show her that that is not the case. But they have a little bit of a conversation concerning the the prenuptial agreement that was discussed in the previous episode, and the conversation does not go well, because Sarper says
mhm,
that in my country of Turkey we don't do prenuptial agreements. That's not a part of our culture, and Shekinah does not care. Shekinah does not care. She's not even going to consider the fact that he
mhm,
doesn't want to get a prenuptial agreement, because of the fact that she wants a prenuptial agreement. He needs to agree to it or else, and
mhm,
that's the type of attitude that grinds my gears. And so Sarper gets on a FaceTime call with three of his family members, and he fills them in on the option or the idea of signing a prenuptial agreement. And they're just as shocked as Sarper was when he first heard it in the previous episode. And
mhm,
he tells them about the condition. She has to be under 128 pounds, or he's going to charge her $1,000 every month that she is over 128 pounds. And his family, they kind of laugh about it, and they said, he's really creative. They love how creative he was with
mhm,
that addition to the prenuptial agreement. Now, to be honest, I'm not expecting for them to actually get a prenuptial agreement, because it's something that neither one of them have discussed leading up to this wedding, and this wedding is supposed to be happening within the next 2 or 3 days. So to me, I don't feel as though Shekinah is serious about
mhm,
getting a prenuptial agreement. My hope is that Shekinah is only pushing this for reality TV's sake, and doesn't really want to put Sarper in a situation that he's uncomfortable with signing a prenuptial agreement. Because I feel as though in Sarper's tradition, or
mhm.
in his culture, prenuptial agreements might be a slight dig at his masculinity, and Sarper
Right.
is all about his masculinity, y'all. Which a lot of times that would annoy me, but with Sarper, it actually makes me smile. You know what I'm saying? I love that he wears his masculinity on his sleeve, and he's so self assured about himself, and that's, to me, what's so sexy about Sarper.
Right.
But um, you know, Sarper goes off, and he goes off to get some coffee, and Shekinah does not know where he is, and she put a locator on his key. And she initially says that the reason why she put a locator on his key is because, if he ever loses his key, they'll be able to find it, and they'll be able to drive off and do whatever it is. But then the producer asked her, why did you really put a locator on Sarper's keys? And she said, well, he doesn't want to share his location with me on Google Maps. And so as long as I have his location on his keys, I know where he is at all times. And I feel as though we've covered this subject of sharing
Mhm,
your location in previous episodes, but I do want to get into this just very quickly again. To
mhm,
me, if you feel as though you need to share your location, or your significant other needs to share their location with you, that to me tells me that you don't trust your significant other, or you
mhm.
don't trust your partner. That's a lack of trust. Now, Sarper has committed infidelity on Shekinah in the past, so
Yes.
I understand why she may be a little apprehensive in
Mhm,
trusting him. However, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Once you forgive someone for cheating on you, that's it. You got to forgive them and let it go. you can't let it come back up in
But
conversation. You can't let that dictate any of the decisions that you make later on down the line. It has to be done, and that's it. Dustin, you were going to say something?
Shekinah is not the type of person that will let it go and let it go and move forward. Shekinah is the type of person that will let it go and hold on to it for the rest of her life. That's just my opinion about that. Shekinah does not understand. Shekinah is the way she is. She's very controlling, and she don't want to let it go. She that's not that's not Shekinah. That might be you and I. That might be you and I, but that's not Shekinah. Shekinah is a totally different person. Shekinah is going to hold on to a grudge forever.
Absolutely. Robin says down in the comments, and I don't necessarily understand this comment, Robin, but I'm going to read it for you anyways. If FF threw the troop, I don't know if you meant flew the coop or what, but if you could explain that for us down in the comments, I'll see Robin. Let me know. Um, and so yeah, it's pretty annoying to me that Shekinah is trying to have some type of control over Sarper, and it's just annoying. And she said and Sheila's, and so Robin says and Sheila's, but it's just she kind of feels as though she has something over Sarper. And I feel like as though she thinks she has Sarper wrapped around her finger. And I just want Sarper to show her that, that's not the case at all. Robin also
Mm-hmm.
says down in the comments, I fast forward through the thruple. Oh, through the thruple. Okay. Yes. I will admit, Auntie Robin, their story really doesn't get to me that much. I'm honestly not too interested in their story because it's a little convoluted, and initially it was so confusing. I didn't know what was going on until we got into this actual episode right here, because I knew that they were married, but I didn't know how Annie fit into the equation. But now that I do know, I just don't care, to be honest. I really don't. But
I don't either.
anyway, so Shekinah shares Sarper's location with the producers, and the producers actually find Sarper at this coffee shop. And Sarper said, he just wanted to get out on his own, just to have some reflection for himself. And then he says he's nervous about getting married again because the first time he got married, his ex-wife totally changed after they got married. She wasn't the same woman
Mm-hmm.
that he initially met, and so he's thinking that he might fall into the same trap or end up in the same situation again, which Sarper has every right to feel this way. And I do have a feeling that Shekinah might change after they get married. Shekinah might feel as though she has some type of power over him. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, and Shekinah's. Yeah, I would fast forward through Shekinah's storyline, Auntie Robin, if Sarper's fine ass wasn't a part of her storyline. Okay, because if Shekinah was there with some other man, I would fast forward right through because I don't care about the girl. I was about to call her a B word, child. We don't do that. But anyways, yeah, if Sarper wasn't part of Shekinah's storyline, shot, I'd be fast forwarding right through it myself. But Sarper says that he's nervous about marrying again because he doesn't want the same thing to happen that happened in his first marriage to happen in his next marriage. And Shekinah meets up with Sarper at the coffee shop, and she's so upset. And I'm just rolling my eyes the whole time, Dustin. I'm like, I feel as though she's looking this upset just for the cameras. I feel as though she's trying to drum up some drama just for the cameras. And it seems very inauthentic to me because it's not too often that she kind of gets out of her way or kind of, seems as though she's lost it a little bit. And it seemed as though she lost it a little bit. I didn't recognize her in this moment when she was asking him, what is it? Because when he said that he's nervous about getting married again, she blows up on him. It's like, what? Like, so what, you don't want to get married to me? And to me, I feel as though a caring partner would say, tell me why you're nervous about getting married. What are the issues? Let's talk this out. But she kind of just wants to argue, and that's not the way that you deal with the relationship,
because
Dustin. So
because Shekinah don't care about him. Shekinah don't care about him, Jonathan.
exactly.
We're talking about somebody that's just doing this to be doing this for a paycheck. Because that's just my opinion. She don't care about him no matter what. So, and you're talking, and that's aggravating. It really is. But I've seen this before, and I'll say it again because it's the truth.
Yes, Auntie Robin says, "I knew that about Sarper. You are so smitten. I am, girl. Like Sarper be having me swooning, honey. Like that. That man is just, and it's not just the looks with Sarper. It's his
Mm.
personality where he's so confident in himself because he knows who he is. And a lot of times when fine men have an ego about themselves, a lot of times that's a turn off for me. But for some reason with Sarper, it's more of a turn on, and maybe because it's his accent as well, and the way it's just the way that he carries himself. He's so confident, and it's not like he's like braggadocious about himself because he really could be if he wanted to be, but he does have a smidge of an ego, and for some reason that's sexy to me. I don't know, but hey, it is what it is. Sarper's just a fine man, child. But what are your thoughts on Sarper and Shekinah, Dustin? And do you think they'll actually make it to the altar? Because I have a
No, I don't.
feeling
I
that there's a
don't.
chance that it might not happen.
I don't think they're gonna make it through. I don't think they're gonna make it to the altar. But I don't like Shekinah. I don't support Shekinah. One point blank. Period. I mean, I'm here for Surfer, but I'm not here for Shekinah because I don't like Shekinah. And this whole season has really showed me a different side of Shekinah that I've never seen before. But I don't like her, and I hope that he realizes that he deserves better, Jonathan.
Absolutely. I hope he realizes he deserves better too, because that Sarper, like, and I wish that Sarper would watch this video because I just want to tell you, you fine, gorgeous, gorgeous, sexy man. You deserve so much better. And there are millions of women who would die to be with a man like Sarper and, be kissing his damn feet. And Shekinah is out here like a fairy tale princess thinking that the world revolves around her. And it's like, it's just the most annoying thing. And I cannot stand it. So
It's
before I
just
go off
very
on,
oh,
go
it's
ahead,
just very
Justin.
it's just very. This whole season has so far. This is only episode 16, but this season so far has been very eye opening to me. How Shekinah really is,
Agreed, Dustin, because
and I
I did not see this type of behavior in previous seasons that we've seen them on at all.
I can't wait to see what the tell-all brings because I think some things are going to open up even further when the tell-all brings apart.
And I hope that some of the other men on the show bring Shekinah's behavior towards him and her entitlement as far as her relationship with him is concerned. I hope they bring that to Sarper's attention because something tells me that Sarper sees no issue with the way that Shekinah treats him because I feel as though if he really cared about the way that she treated him, then he would not be with her at all. And I honestly think that he's just addicted to her in the bedroom. Like that's the only
Mm.
thing that I can think of. But let's move forward before I get mad all over again. And let's move on to Mark and Mina.
Mm.
So Mark and Mina, they are heading to the venue where they're going to have their wedding. Their wedding is in 2 days from the time that this was recorded, and she's waiting on information that her son Clayton, who's living in Paris, France, will be able to make it to her wedding because Mina does not want to get married unless Clayton is there at her wedding. Clayton is very close. She's very close to him. I believe that's her firstborn. And she really wants Clayton to be at her wedding. And so she gets a call
I
from
don't
a
think
family. Go
does
ahead.
she have any other kids or just
Well,
Clayton?
she has a daughter with Mark,
Oh,
and
okay.
we've actually seen them on the show. Actually, Mark was playing with their daughter a little bit at the beginning of their scene on this particular episode.
All
Their
right.
daughter seems to be like she's like maybe 3 or 4 years old now.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so they're going over all the payments. They're going through an itemized list of all the charges that they're being charged for as far as the wedding is concerned, the open bar, the food, the venue, all that good stuff. And in the middle of that, Mina gets a call from one of her family members in Paris, France, and she's saying, make sure you're giving me good news. I want to hear some good news. And they say, I'm sorry, I cannot give you good news. Clayton will not be able to make it to America. Now, we didn't get an actual reason as to why he won't be
Mm,
able to make it to America. So I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if who's not able to fly, or they don't have the money to do it, or what the
I don't
case
think
might be. But whatever the case is, Clayton won't be able to make it. Dustin, you were going to say something?
I think it's because he don't have a visa. I think he has to have a visa to go to America because I think he's in another country. So I think in order for him to fly, you have to have some kind of visa when you're in another country. So
Yeah. You see, the thing about that is, I feel as though Clayton's only would only be coming for the wedding, but maybe Mina wanted him to come over and stay on a more permanent basis, and that's the reason why he's not coming. Because I feel as though if he was just coming for the wedding, he would just be able to get on a flight and fly over, and just go right back to Paris after the wedding was over, and that
but
would
I think
seem very
but I
easy. But
but
that
I
doesn't
think
seem to be the case.
I think she wanted him to move there though. I think she wanted
Right,
him to
exactly.
move to
And
America.
and to have that expectation at a moment's notice is a little bit disappointing for me, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
he if he needs a visa to stay over here, and you're just now making the plans for him to come over here, then you're not doing your homework. You're not doing your due diligence to make sure that
That takes a
he is
long time, Jonathan.
secured. Right, exactly. And so, Mina, and you would think that Mark would, be helping Mina a little bit more, but Mark doesn't seem to, I mean, even though he said it, that he stated in the prenup that he would adopt Clayton as his son legally, but I didn't see Mark doing a lot of work to make sure that Clayton
Mm.
would be able to come over. It seems like Mina was doing the majority
You
of the
think
work to try to make
you
sure
think
he's over here.
you think Mark should be doing some more, and I agree with you. I think Mark should be doing more work to be try to get him over here. I just don't think that Mark is really on the same page with her for that matter there.
Right, exactly. So, Mita comes out of the room and she tells Mark that Clayton can't come, and she cannot get married. She doesn't want to do it, and um, I'm like 100% sure that Mina is really affected by this news that she's gotten. However, I do still feel like she will make it down the aisle. I don't think that this is going to stop her from marrying Mark. I do think that she's going to go through with the wedding. I think that she's just
Hmm.
a little bit overreacting a little bit. And, I understand she has every right to be overreacting because she really wants her son to be at her wedding. So I get that.
Well,
So
that
hopefully
that
Mina will be
that
okay.
that's a big life changing thing, Jonathan. So of course you want all your family to be at your wedding. Uh,
Absolutely.
I will want my family to be at my wedding as well. People as I claim to be my family as well. But that's how I would be. I will want my family to be there at my wedding as well. So I kind of understand what she means by that.
Absolutely. So let's move on to our next couple, Jessica and Juan. Jessica's another one. I can't decide whether I like Jessica less or Shekinah less, but I think I like Shekinah less because of Sarper. Maybe, yeah, but I still can't stand Jessica. So,
I don't like
um,
Jessica.
so Juan's aunt and uncle are coming to America from their country of Colombia for the wedding. Also, Juan's brother is coming over as well. And as soon as Juan's aunt and uncle come in, Jessica tries a little bit of Spanish, and, she says a couple things wrong. And she's like, oh, well, I have the spelling right in my head. And, Jessica clearly does not care about the fact that she is not fluent in Spanish or only knows like an elementary school grade level of Spanish. Robin says down in the comments, move on to the next thing, Claudia. Yes, absolutely. Um, so yeah, it's so annoying to me because Jessica does not see this as something that is important, that she learns Spanish or that she makes an effort to learn Spanish. She says that she's been
Mm,
working, she's been raising their child. She has two other boys. She has two other sons that she had before Juan even came into the picture. And I think she's 30 years old. And so I just, the more that I watch this season, Dustin, the more and more I feel so bad for Juan, and I
I
just,
do.
I want to weep for him because
Mm.
he literally has a child with this woman, and he's connected with her for the rest of his life, regardless of whether he's with her or not. But he's going to have to be connected to her for the rest of his life because of this
At least,
child, and
at least for the
it's
next at least for the next 18 years.
right. But even, well, yeah, at least, yeah, for the next 18 years. But for as far as I'm concerned, I feel as though a child bonds two people together forever. That's just the way that I see it, Dustin. But
Mhm.
most people do
Oh, I
see
agree
it
with you.
as just the 18-year
I
type
agree
of
with you.
thing.
But I
But
just want to say the reason why I said 18 years is because uh, an adult. He's an adult after 18 years, so he can make his final decisions whether he wants to be around his father or not. So,
Right. And
and
so Juan gets a
uh,
little bit of advice from his brother. His
uh,
brother talks about the fact that he only speaks Spanish to his son. And Juan's brother's wife is also speaks Spanish as well. And he says that English is for school. So apparently his son is only being taught English at school, but otherwise he's only speaking Spanish. And I'm surprised that Juan is only bringing up this fact just now because he said that Jessica said that she would learn Spanish, but that was 4 years ago. 4 years ago. She's
mm,
had 4 years to learn Spanish, but she hasn't been able to find the time in the last 4 years to be able to learn anything. Like, well, I mean, she says a word here. She knows casa, which is house. She knows grande, which is big. She knows basic words, but she won't be able to have an actual conversation or complete a full sentence in Spanish.
mm.
So
and that's
it
and
it
that's a, and that's a red flag to me, Jonathan. It's a red flag because you don't want to learn. You don't want to learn his his language. That's your husband's language, and that's also your kids' uh, language. So you're not gonna learn your husband's language, especially when he everything he's done for you, but you're not going to do anything for him. Yeah, that's a red flag for me. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
it's okay, Dustin, but that's because Jessica does not care. That's because Jessica don't care. It's all up to Jessica. Shekinah and Jessica are in the same boat. It's their way or the highway. They're the ones that are controlling, that feel as though they're controlling their relationships. But at the same time, it's very telling to me that Juan has not put his foot down when it comes to Jessica learning Spanish because he's let 4 years go by without her even attempting to learn Spanish. So, in a way, it's still kind of Juan's fault as well because maybe he could have, tried to make sure that Jessica knew Spanish before they had a child. I'm assuming that the child was not planned. However,
Mm,
before moving forward, taking steps to move forward in a relationship, getting married, having a child, make sure these things are in place so that you don't get disappointed later on down the line when she's not agreeing to what it is that
mm,
she agreed to do in the first place. So
mm,
they have this conversation, Juan and Jessica. And to me, I have a feeling that Juan may not care that much that Jessica learns Spanish. I feel as though Juan will be okay as long as his son knows Spanish. But he brings up this conversation on camera, and Jessica is very offended. She's once again, as I said a little bit earlier in the review, Jessica said it's been
mm,
4 years. She's been working full time. She's been raising her kids. She's got 3 kids now, one by
mm.
one. So she doesn't have time to learn Spanish. And it's like if your significant other genuinely asks you to make an effort on their behalf and you think nothing of it, that shows me how much you care and love for your significant other. To me, that shows me
Mhm.
that Jessica don't give a damn about Juan. And to me, there's nothing sadder than being in a relationship with someone who does not consider your feelings. So, Dustin,
One,
what were your thoughts about
mm.
Juan and Jessica this episode?
One, I don't like. For one, I don't like one, and I don't like Jessica at all. But I feel bad for one, Jonathan.
Hmm.
I feel bad because he's changed his whole life and came over here and lived with her, and I don't think that I don't think that she really realizes that. Um, he wants to be back on the boat. She didn't want to support Dad either. She didn't want to support him being back on the boat and making money. For one, you have to have money to live, and you have to have money to live. Period. So it doesn't really matter. He has to have some kind of job. He's going to have hard time getting a job in America because he's not originally from here, so he's going to have a harder time getting a job in America than he would be getting back on the boat. So
Hmm.
I don't support Jessica one dime in that point. I don't like, for one, I don't like Jessica. So
Me either.
I don't care for Jessica. I don't want to see her back next season.
No.
I don't want to see him. I want to see him, but I want to see her. And as long as they're married, I don't want to see either one of them because I think they're going to end up on the last resort, Jonathan. I think that
Wow.
I see a divorce in the future. Now, I think they're going to end up on the last resort because he can only handle so much, and I feel bad for him already. And I can see it.
Auntie Robin says down in the comments, Juan don't want to marry her. He's all about that cruise life. I really wish that Juan, first of all, I wish that Juan would have never had a child with her to begin with, so that he can just live his single young life. Like I just wish that Juan would not, and I guess it's not a mistake, the child, but I wish that Juan would have thought before getting Jessica pregnant, because Jessica does not care about Juan. She does not care about his feelings. She does not care about what he wants. It's only about what Jessica wants. And excuse me. And that's so disheartening to me, because it seems like Juan does love Jessica. And when one person is putting in more love and more care than the other, I can't get with that. I cannot get with that. So I don't see for Jessica at all. Juan is all good in my books. He seems to be a very, very first of all, he's a very attractive man, but he seems very kind-hearted. And Jessica seems to be just like Shekinah, taking him for granted. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, I don't like Jessica either, Dustin. Yeah, we got three of us agree with that, Auntie Robin. We don't like Jessica.
No, I don't.
Jessica gives
I don't
me.
like. I didn't like Jessica from episode one, from day one. I don't like Jessica from Anna. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the other episodes or not, Johnson, but I don't I don't care for
Yeah, just Jessica, like she gives me Karen vibes all day long. Auntie Robin also says down in the comments, if it wasn't a mistake, it was an error. Then some suit warned over. Yeah, it's if it wasn't a mistake, it's an error. Yeah, yeah. Then same soup warmed over. Yeah, absolutely, Auntie Robin. It's for me to in my opinion it was a mistake for Juan to get her pregnant, because now he, like I said, he's attached to her for at least 18 years, at least the next 18 years. And that's not a situation that I would want to find myself attached to whatsoever. Someone who does not care about my feelings, someone who does not take care of me emotionally. Nope, it ain't
it.
happening. So anyways, got two more couples to get to. Let's
Yes.
get to Sean and Aaliyah. So we've gotten to our wedding day. Sean and Aaliyah are getting married. First of all, I have to say, um, as far as Aaliyah's dress is concerned, Aaliyah, that is not nobody's wedding dress at all. Yes, it was white. You check that box, but that does not look like anybody's wedding dress to me. But
Mm,
but anyways, that's besides the point. So Aaliyah has decided to sign the prenuptial agreement. And so they're moving forward with the wedding. Now, right before their wedding, Sean's mother had a slip and fall, and she hurt her hip and her ankle pretty badly. But Sean's mother is determined to make it to the wedding. It doesn't matter how she's feeling. She had her leg propped up on the front row. And it's 104 degrees at their wedding. Now, Aaliyah's getting herself ready. She said that
uh-huh.
she's going to need like 2.5 hours to get ready, to do her hair, do her makeup, all that good stuff. And I believe it was Sean's friend that was with Aaliyah at that time, and she was like, "Girl,
Right.
you ain't got nothing but 90 minutes to get ready, an hour and a half." So Aaliyah is taking her sweet, 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 sweet time, and it turns out that she's 2 hours late to the altar. 2 hours late to the altar. Now, Sean is standing there with his glittery, sequence jacket. I loved his blazer, his jacket. It was real gay like, y'all. It was real gay, y'all. It was real gay, child. Anyways, so Sean is standing at the altar. The whole family's waiting. Sean's mother says, they should have had some refreshments for us while we're out here sitting in this hot 104-degree weather. And Sean walks away from the altar, and he starts walking back towards some building. And Aaliyah is standing at the top of some stairs, and Sean's friend is saying, "You're not supposed to see the bride before the wedding." And Sean says, "Yeah, I don't care about that. Y'all can see me going to my car." And Sean is, you know. Because he's sort of kind of queening out a little bit. He's having a little bit of a hissy fit. And to me, what this tells me, because at the beginning of this episode, we saw Sean and Aaliyah in bed together. Um, And I was going to make a comment on Sean's hair, but you know what? I'm just going to leave that be. And let y'all minds wonder as to what I was going to say concerning his hair. But I think y'all know what I would say about his hair. But anyways,
Mm,
I'm surprised it survived that 104-degree weather. But that's besides the point. Anyway, so we saw them waking up in bed together, and even seeing them in bed together did not show me any connection between the two. Once again, not
mm,
even like a friendship between the two. But anyways, so Sean's very upset that Aaliyah's 2 hours late to her own wedding, and that to me tells me that Aaliyah doesn't care. That to me tells me that Aaliyah, um, I don't know if she loves Sean. That's
mm,
to that is to be determined, but she does not care because she's not respecting his time. She's not respecting everyone else's time who is there now. I don't believe that Aaliyah had any of her family or friends there for her side, so maybe that's one of the reasons why she didn't care that she was going to be 2 hours late. But Dustin, what was your reaction to Aaliyah taking her sweet time getting ready for the wedding, and
mm.
Sean's reaction to her being 2 hours late to their wedding?
Well, for one, I want to say that I don't see any connection between Sean and Aaliyah anyway. I don't see any connection between. Uh, I don't know. I don't like anybody being late, especially to a wedding to that period. But 2 hours late is kind of too late for me. And he got up and got ready to walk out because he probably felt like she wasn't going to show up. And I don't think that that was very nice of her to take 2 hour to be 2 hours late for the wedding. That's just too late for me. Now everybody might be feel a different way, and that's okay because this is how I feel. I don't want nobody late to my. I don't want nobody 2 hours late to my wedding, Jonathan. If I were to have a wedding, I don't want nobody 2 hours late to my wedding, and I bet you wouldn't want that either for yourself as well, because that's a red flag to me, and it should be to you as well, Jonathan. And I hope it is because that don't sit right with me, so it shouldn't sit right with you.
Yes, it is definitely a red flag for me. And once again, her being 2 hours late shows me that she's not respecting everyone else's time. She feels as though I'm guessing, I can only assume that she feels as though, it's her day. All attention should be on her. I don't know what Aaliyah is thinking. And
Well,
I want to know what she's going to say to Sean in response to him being so upset with her. And maybe this will give us a little bit more insight into their connection and into their dynamic in a way, and really see how it is that what it is that holds them together. Because I'm really finding it hard to put my finger on what it actually is that is bringing them together. It's hard for me to put my finger on, but we'll see in the next episode what's going on with them. But we're going to end with my favorite couple of 90 Day Fiance, y'all. I have a favorite couple, but before we get to our favorite couple, I'm going to get to this comment by Robin here real quickly. Robin
mm,
says, "Me no likey the Sean and Aaliyah, neither. Yeah, I don't. He is a fool. He doesn't want someone who is trans. Why is he trying to fool himself? That's my thing, Robin, because when I see Sean, I see a gay man. Now, there have been gay men who have been in relationships with trans women, and that works for them. But to me, just for the simple fact that Sean is apprehensive about Aaliyah having gender reassignment surgery tells me that he wants the penis to be in the room, much like Big Daddy
mm,
in Alextra's relationship on Pose was saying, like he wants it in the
mm,
room. He does not want that to be gone. And again, Sean to me presents as a gay man. Now, I don't know what his actual sexuality is. I'm assuming he's probably pansexual. Pansexual is typically what those who are trans attracted will say that they are as far as their sexuality is concerned, but it seems
mm,
like Sean just wants Aaliyah as a trophy wife, just to say that
mm,
he has this pretty girl on his arm. And maybe he doesn't want to be seen as a gay man. And with him being with a beautiful trans woman, and that way he probably won't be seen as a gay man. Auntie Robin also says down in the comments, I don't understand when people are tardy. It's the height of disrespect. Absolutely, Robin. With her not respecting their time, once again, Auntie Robin tells me that Aaliyah does not care at all. And Sean
Mm,
asked for this. This is what you got, Sean. So I hope you happy. But anyways, let's move on to our final couple. Once
okay.
again, my favorite couple. I finally chosen a favorite couple in this season, and that is
Mhm.
Greg and Joanne. So Greg has secured a hotel for he and Joanne to have in the near the venue of their wedding, and he has a surprise for Joanne. And so he's gotten some traditional Nigerian garb for both of them to put on. He got her a beautiful white dress with gold
Yeah.
accents. I thought it was beautiful. And I loved what Greg was wearing as well. And
Mhm.
he also got some African drummers and African dancers to come and dance a little in the backyard. And it was
Mhm.
so beautiful for me to see and to like, this is the only couple in this episode where I truly saw the love just overflowing. And that's what I want to see on 90 Day Fiance, y'all. And it's so
Mhm.
interesting that we're watching a show about a plethora of couples. And a lot of times love is missing out of the equation, but not when it comes to Greg and Joanne. And so
Right.
uh I find it so amazing that Greg is making all of this effort to make it so that Joanne feels comfortable. It makes it so that Joanne does not feel as lonely as she may be feeling because all of her family is in Africa. And she's over in America, here in America by herself, but Greg is going out of his way to make her feel comfortable and to make her feel like she is welcome and to make her feel like she's a part of his family. And he has two of his friends to come over, and they seem to be very loving. And Greg seems to be such a sweet guy. And, that makes me want to root for him. That makes me really, really
Right.
want to root for him. But Greg is a little bit upset with himself because he's looking on the invitations and he's seeing that he's asked for people to arrive at 6:30 for the wedding. And the wedding is also supposed to start at 6:30. So
Mhm.
Greg is a little bit nervous that people are going to be arriving around the same time that Joanne is walking down the aisle. Now, me personally, especially when it comes to big events like this, I'm always going to make sure that I'm early. So hopefully, the people who are attending Greg and Joanne's wedding are thinking along those same lines. I saw in the previews that it seemed like they sent out a message to everyone to make sure that they're there before 6:30. So hopefully that works out in their favor. But I just love the tender loving care and all of the love that Greg is showing to Joanne. And it's so sweet. And it's everything that I would want in a husband. And I think it's everything that any girl or gay man would want in a husband. So it's just so wonderful to see this juxtaposition of this such a loving couple compared to these five other couples who seem to be missing the love. So Dustin, what were your thoughts on everything that Greg was doing to make Joanne feel
Well,
comfortable and feel like she was at home, and your
for one, I
reaction to his mistake?
for one, I like I like this couple so far. I liked it. Probably my favorite couple as well, Jonathan. So I think that I actually see the love and support. And at least they get to at least they're working on their situation together. And I hope the wedding goes off without a hitch. I hope it really does. And I can't wait to see next week's episode. But that's I just I just I hope that the wedding goes off because I want to see them. I know they're going to be happy after the wedding. I don't know what their plans are after the wedding, but I want to see what goes on, and I hope that they have a long happy marriage.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I love Greg and Joanne. Joanne's such a sweet girl, and Greg is such a sweet guy, and it's just so beautiful to see them together. It's really beautiful, and you can see the love between them, and that's what I'd be looking for in these couples on 90 Day Fiance is the love, the affection, and
Hmm.
it's so evident with between Greg and Joanne, and it makes me feel as though a lot of these couples might be coming on TV just to be on TV, and maybe they're not really connected like that, even though some of these people do have kids. And but at the same time, different people love differently. So everyone's not as affectionate as others. Some people are less affectionate than others. And so at the same time, I really can't expect for everyone to be on the same level as far as their showing of love to one another. But that's just what I like to see personally for myself when I see couples on TV. But you
Right.
know, we'll see what happens in the next episode. I'm excited to see what happens in the next episode. We'll see. We'll see what goes on. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel.
Mm-hmm.
Press that big red subscribe button. It is free and easy to do. It takes less than a second to mash that thing. So why don't you go ahead and mash it? Be sure to leave a thumbs up for this video. Let me know you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out on my channel. Be sure to leave a comment like Auntie Robin did this evening. Let me know your thoughts on these couples of 90 Day Fiance. Also, be sure to press notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Last but not least, be sure to share JoJo Speaks with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Let everybody know that JoJo Speaks is out here in these YouTube streets. Quick announcement: I released my review for RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 10, episode 5. I released that yesterday, so be sure to check that out. Make sure you like it. Make sure you comment on it. Let me know that you are watching this season as well. Give me your thoughts on the outcome of the episode. Dustin, why don't you go ahead and give us your social media contacts before we get out of here?
My social media contacts are Dustin Butler 700. My Instagram, my Facebook with Dustin Butler. I want to thank Jonathan for always being here, and thank you, Jennifer, behind the camera. Thank you very much, and thanks to the whole entire team.
Absolutely. And be sure to catch The Light of the Leo. She is going live tonight at 9 p.m. Yes, we took Memorial Day off, but we're going back live tonight at 9 p.m. So check us out on The Light of the Leo, at The Light of the Leo. Look for her in the search bar on YouTube. But you guys can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is JoJo_Speaks3020. My Facebook is Jonathan Lee. My email is WilliamJonathanLee@gmail.com. And my Cash App is $JonathanLee07. That's $JONATHANLEE07. Make sure you guys join me on Thursday night for my Hot Topics and Social Commentary Live. We go live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. to talk about the hottest topics that's going around in the country and, delve into a little bit of social commentary as well. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. Join us next week, same time, same place, same beautiful faces. Until then, we'll say, I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there. Love you guys for watching. See you on the next one. Bye, guys.
See you again.